Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing my persuasive speech video, and the topic I chose was the cruelty behind animal entertainment. Imagine having to live a life where we are forced to be an entertainment to others and having to live in a tank or a cage, needing to obey because you're too afraid to know what will happen or face the consequences if you don't obey. And as much as we find the animals and mammals entertaining, it must come to an end because we're hurting them. First, the problem is that these animals are used for entertainment and they are abused from the moment that they are captured. And some of these animals, they are taken away from their mothers and their families at a very young age, and they begin to train them for the entertainment of people. And some trainers use methods like food deprivation, or they use tools, for example the whips or the electric rods, and they hurt these animals and they're creating a new fear on the animals until they obey. So if they already know, if they don't listen, that they're gonna get hit or they're not gonna get feed, they already know that what they're supposed to do, and it shouldn't be like that. For example, animals who take a part of the circus are chained for hours and hours, and they aren't able to go for a walk or go anywhere as they please. And these trainers, they use fear-based methods. For example, like I mentioned, the whips or the electric pods, and they use them in order to have them perform unnatural tricks, and they are expected to repeat these performances over and over. And when they aren't performing, they are usually locked up in a cage for about 23 hours a day. And according to the people of ethical treatment of animals, which was one of the sources I used, was that these creatures show a sign of self-harm and stress due to the abuse of that they get in the separation of their natural habitat. For example, in this picture, you can see how the animals are doing unnatural tricks and that they are locked up in a cage. And another example of animals being abused by entertainment of people is that marine parks, they also take a part of this cruelty, and they keep these intelligent marine mammals such as dolphins and orcas. They have them imprisoned, and in order to make money out of entertainment of the people. And these mammals are taken away from their home and they're placed in tiny tanks, which is too small for their size. And usually orcas are able to swim about 100 miles a day, and they can live for decades. But when they are in prison, that is taken away from them. And one of the sources that I also used was the National Geographic, and they state that orcas suffer from stress, aggression, and depression, as well as the circus animals. They want to self-harm or they harm others because of the frustration of not being to be in their natural habitat. And there has also been situations where their dorsal fins collapse because of these tiny tanks that they aren't able to swim properly, and it's just a very small space for them. And they are forced to do tricks, and they, in order to get rewarded with food, so they have to work for that food. Even though aquariums can be educational and entertaining to the people, these mammals have a lifetime set in this unnatural habitat. And here I have another image where you can see the orcas and the dolphins on the left side in this small tank. they aren't used to being in small tanks. And going to the solution is how we can help these animals and protect these animals is we can stop giving our money to these companies, and they will eventually have to change and come to an end. And according to the World Animal Protection, they have agreed to ban the use of animals for entertainment. And there's also other ways we can educate and entertain the people without having to harm the animals. For example, we can use virtual reality of the wildlife, and we also have the choice to refuse to buy tickets to these facilities, and instead we can support facilities that rescue the animals. And we don't necessarily need to ban these places like the aquariums, the zoos, but there is a solution for everything. And instead of banning these parks, we can improve by changing how they treat the animals. And there is one place already that are trying to improve rescuing and helping to protect these animals instead of using them for amusement. And they can also teach people and create a safe place for the animals to live in. And the Association of the Zoos and Aquarium, they will only give the approval if they meet their standards and make sure that these facilities are taking care and protecting the animals and making sure that they are in good hands. And marine parks and zoos can also let the animals live peacefully without the need of having to do tricks. And one of these facilities was the Whale Sanctuary project, and it's in process. And what they're trying to do is create a seaside sanctuaries that take a part of a mammal rescues and create an environment and as close as their natural habitat they're trying to put the animals. And this project is one of many that we people can support, knowing for a fact that they treat animals and mammals with care, and we as individuals can choose and who we don't support and who we do support. And for example, I also have another video of the Whale Sanctuary project where you can see that it's in the ocean, and they have a veterinary facility, and they have the sanctuary view area that's more above, and the orcas close to the ocean. And we might be amused by the looks of the outside, but behind the scenes there is cruelty, and animals are not created and do not live for the use of our entertainment. And regardless of the place, if it's a zoo, circus, or a marine parks, many of these animals are abused and suffer of imprisonment. And this is something that has to come to a stop. And as a community, we can make the right choices and support places that benefit for these animals instead of abusing them. And we can help them create a better world, and where animals can live freely and be living without fear, and they can be close to their habitat, still protecting them. And we can choose to support places like the Whale Sanctuary project that I showed you guys. And there's no need to use the pain of another being for our entertainment. Thank you for listening.